If I was wanting to unlink a mark and say it had gone to the wrong position, so just for example, I'll use this as an example. So I'm going to unlink this mark. I'm using a left click to select the captured mark. I then hit the right mouse button and I'm going to unlink the mark. So it thinks away and that box disappears and it comes up with that message on the right hand side saying it was successfully unlinked. What I'm going to do just as an example is I'm going to left click my captured mark again. I'm going to start linking. And again, it comes up with that panel there. I don't really need to see that, but it comes up with this mark linking panel again. I use left click to select that mark there, the captured mark, and I'm actually going to link it to this one here. Now that is actually not the correct mark as we looked at before, but you can see it will link, so it says it's successfully linked because it's saying that I have followed the process that the surveyor has told them to do. It's basically said, I've got a captured mark there and I want to link it to this mark here. So Landonline's not, doesn't do the tests to check that at this stage, but you can see that it's got this underlying boundary sort of shaded there, hidden under there. And I can see that there's a separation there. So that may actually be incorrect, but it will allow you to do that. So yeah, so it's just that the automatic linking process will look at the ones that are closest to it. And as you get too far, it would go out and look at other marks as well. So if I was wanting to, I'm just going to unlink that mark again. I've still got the mark linking process selected. It's trying to do it again. So if I unlink this mark again, it should snap back to where it should be because it's still relative. Well, it's using the vector information for those relative to other marks. But if I was to set one, if I wanted to go, okay, I want to got this mark here, I wonder if I use a large linking tolerance, spatial tolerance. If I was to use a meter, for example, it's going to go and look, remember, it's looking for those captured marks where there are existing marks within a meter of those captured marks. Now you can see at the bottom here, it's got 2 marks could not be linked as there were multiple underlying marks within the specified tolerance. So it's identified that yes, within the distance here, within 1 meter of my mark, it's got 2 other nodes which are within a meter of that. You can see one is 0.0 meters, so it's pretty close, and there's others which are 0.65 and 0.14 away. So that's telling me that that it won't automatically link them because there are 2 existing marks in Landonline within that tolerance. Again, that's why we always suggest going for the smaller spatial tolerance first and then going out from there. So I can see that it's not going to link 7 and 101. So if I go back to my spatial view, 7 was that one there. So it's identified that there's an existing node there and there's an existing node there. So it's identified that there's 2 of those within that meter radius. And so therefore it tells me I can't link it, won't link automatically and I have to do it manually. I think that's pretty much it as far as mark linking goes and the marks there, unless there are any other questions.
I was just wondering about when you kind of set the distance, because yeah, that last one you did when it was a meter, it was obvious that were like a few that could have been brought in. What kind of surveys would you use when you might be looking at that, like 10 meters or 3 meters?
Yeah, so when you get to rural land and looking at subdivisions in there, then there basically there may not be many marks in that area, and there may be quite a distortion in Landonline. So you have to keep in mind that Landonline, the spatial view, was originally taken basically just tracing or scanning over top of digitizing over top of block sheets or old manual plans.
Yes.
So some of the accuracies of those isn't the greatest, especially in areas. When you've got residential areas, obviously you've got a lot of new surveys coming in and that tightens all up the network. And so that means that all those marks all should be a lot closer together and a lot more accurate. Whereas in rural areas, it may not be accurate, and there may be marks that are actually, when you try and link them, they are quite separated. We can see when I did the manual linking for Mark 5, it was slightly different, slightly separated. But in rural areas, it could be further away. So it may be that Mark 7 there, if in a rural area there was no mark under there, but that actual mark I should be linking to is here, but it's, if that's like it could be 8 meters separation there. So I am having to link to that mark. So you may want to use 10 meters as your automatic linking.
Yeah, got it. And would you, I mean, I just think about things like, earthquake where the land shifts. Would that be would you use that there, or would that you need to do, kind of do more of a survey of the changes?
It's, yeah, where there is a lot of movement in that, legislation says that the boundaries do move with the land. So
Yeah,
um, sometimes the marks will have moved quite significantly, and therefore they won't match up with the marks that are in Landonline already because they were obviously pre-earthquake. But you'd still go through this process. It would just need to be more investigation done to confirm that you're linking to the right marks. But
right.
yes, you'd still
Yeah.
say you'd still link in the same way, same manner. It's just that you'd probably use more manual linking in those situations.
Okay. Cool. Great.